Hey there, friends of facilities maintenance who like watching stuff being built. What could I be working on today?
Buckle up for safety as I give you a day in the life of facilities maintenance.
I'm building, actually what I'm doing, I'm replacing a window with mesh. The reason being is that over in our elementary school, we have a sound booth and there's a plexiglass window in the opening that allows you to look down upon what's going on below. But it blocks the sound. So people up in the sound booth can't really hear what they're hearing very well, which kind of defeats the purpose of a sound booth. So they wanted it open, but they also needed to be protected because it's a gymnasium and there are flying balls everywhere.
To be a devastating return, and here it comes!
Oh, Sterling makes another tremendous save!
And North Carolina's wasting no mother of pearl!
So they asked me if I could build something. So that's what I'm doing. I thought that if I could find some heavy-duty wire mesh, no smaller than 2x2 and no larger than 4x4, that would work. And it didn't take long. I went to a fencing place and I found this. It's a heavy-duty wire panel. Basically, it's 4 feet by 8 feet, total dimensions. I won't need all of it. But the opening size of the squares is 4 inches by 4 inches. That's fine. You know, things like volleyballs, basketballs, soccer balls, anything like that won't go through. And anything smaller than that, they don't play baseball in the gym. So if something smaller than that, like maybe a wiffle ball, if that makes it through, it's not going to damage anything. So I think this will be perfect. I also like the larger squares because it allows you to see through easier with less things obscuring your vision. If the squares are smaller, it kind of gets too busy, and then you can't see what's going on downstairs as well. Also, I love the fact that it's black. It's a vinyl coated material. Like it's perfect. I think it's going to disappear up in the hole when it's installed. And the frame, I'm just making a simple frame that will mount right into the existing opening. And the tricky part is what I'm going to do with this, attaching it to the frame. I have some ideas, so stay tuned to see what those are. I just say that I love having 3 drills on the go. One to drill my initial pilot hole, one to countersink, and then one for the screw. Not switching bits is glorious. What I have to figure out now is how to establish my height where I want to drill those holes in, and I think I figured out a way. This is 1.5 inches thick, this frame. So a 3/4 inch center line will give me a reference for where I need to drill my holes. I need to take this frame apart. I went and marked each corner so they would mate up again afterwards when I go to screw it back together. First thing first, I need to take this apart and just spread it out a little bit. And I already know that drilling all these holes is going to be so tedious. Because my center line on a 1.5 inch piece is 3/4 inches, this is where my dunnage comes in. So let me bring you in for a closer look to show you what I've been doing here. So you remember all these marks here that I made previously when I had the grid laying on top of the framework? I've drawn little circles around each one. So now I can take those over to a drill press and start making holes. I figured out what bit size I want to use. I'm just going with something a little bit larger, and it won't be sloppy in here because these are all individual pieces like that. There will be tension throughout the whole thing, so having the hole a little bit larger is actually good. It'll allow me to put things together a little bit easier. Another thing that I've done, if you don't have a collar that you can actually physically put on here as a depth stop, just wrap a little piece of masking tape on here. That will prevent me from going too deep. Although, in this instance, because this frame is fitting into another frame, anything that happens on the outside won't really matter. It won't be visible. So I'm just gonna go to work on the drill press over here. Just gonna go take a look on the grid and see how these are lining up before I get too far ahead of myself. After I've done drilling these, let's go back over to the grid and kind of do a test fit and see how well these slide into place. All right. That will work just perfectly. We shall continue. Check this out, hey? Whoever said that you couldn't do stuff like this by hand and have it not work? Well, okay. I don't know anybody that said that, but you know, if they did. Okay, what a great fit. It's all together. It's exactly the way I pictured it in my head. So it's always a good thing when it turns out the way I want to picture it. I have also now transcribed, fancy word for took a pencil and wrote right and top and left, because I have to sand this all down, and all my old pencil marks are going to be sanded off. And once I'm done sanding it, then I'm going to hit it with some clear coat. All right, so all of these are going to go back around that metal grid work, and yeah, we're almost there, guys. And it is for this moment right here that it has become very important that I went around and marked which piece goes where. In that way, everybody fits together the way they should. Okay, actually, I'm at the point where I'm going to glue the corners. Yeah, I'm going to fit the top and bottom on here first, and then glue the faces and put the sides in. I think that's the smart approach here, because it's easier for me to fit a shorter piece in than it is a longer piece. So at this point, I have not yet decided where I am going to screw it into the existing frame, meaning I don't know if I'm going to be running screws in through the top, bottom, sides, corners, what have you. So I am not going to pre-drill anything at this point. I will make that decision once I'm on site. Well, guess what I'm going to do? I'm going to touch it. Without unplugging anything, I've managed to tip things down and slide things back just enough. I think I have full access to this window frame. What I am realizing though is that this is metal. I thought it was wood. So that changes my approach a little bit. I also have to figure out where this is going and undo this from one end to the other. Booby trapped. See, do I want to unplug it from this end or the other end? It'd be easier to put the other end of the cable back out there. I can just toss it over as opposed to fishing this one back up here. So let's go check out the other end. Well, it's convenient there's a ladder here because I just may need it. So that's where that piece is going that I built. Okay, couldn't get more convenient that the ladder is literally sitting exactly where I need to go. So it turns out that this cable is running into that little box, but then it goes up through a piece of conduit and across the gym ceiling all the way to the other side to that box way down there. So definitely going to be disconnecting it from this end. And since this is a metal frame, and since we've decided that we are going to leave this original track in here for now, because we don't know for sure whether or not we're going to keep it. If we don't like it, we'll just go back to the way it was. By not tearing the old frame out of there, that allows it to be completely reversible. So that's the direction we're gonna go. So that being said, because this frame provides backing for the new one that I'm putting in here, and because this is metal, and because it's leaning outwards, this has got all the makings of simply applying a bead of silicone, clear silicone all the way around the edge, and then taking this grate and simply dropping it in place. The silicone cures, it won't come out, it'll do what it needs to do, and I don't actually have to screw it in place at this point. If we decide down the road that we want to go with it permanently and we want to remove that other framework, that aluminum track, then all of that can come out. It allows us the most flexibility. So that is how I will be installing it. I might put 1 or 2 screws in, just as a bit of a safety measure. So as you've had the displeasure of having to watch many times, if you watch this channel, I'm going to give you an excellent view of my backside again. Okay, that's actually a really good fit. Okay, you know what? Forget the silicone idea. I'm just gonna screw it in. It fits so well that the silicone won't be an advantage. And I did bring 4 self-tapping screws, long enough to be able to screw it in from the sides and go into the sides of the frame, 2 on either side. That's what I'm gonna do. Concrete. Yeah. Can you focus on that? Definitely running into concrete under there. Wasn't anticipating that. So, even though all this is drywall, I'm dealing with a concrete wall and a metal frame that's been poured in place. And so I must have hit a pocket where I put that other screw in because it screwed in fine. But on this other side, I'm running into concrete and there's no way I'm getting a self-tapping screw through that. I'd have to come back with my Hilti and actually drill into concrete the way I normally would. But I don't want to do that. I'd make a big mess and lots of dust in an area that I don't want to even create any dust in. So I think I'm going back to the original idea of bedding it in a big silicone bead all the way around the end. 2 steps forward, 1 step back, right? No one will ever know. We're plugged back in, everything's back in its place. The finished product looks pretty good, if I must say so myself. I'm happy with it. We'll see how it's received. Thanks for watching. Have a great day.